What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Anim Aweh. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I want to talk about cash pay practices. Cash pay private practices specifically for Black clinicians and how we can be successful in this market. I know the conversations happen a lot, but a lot of us tend to feel like we may not ever be able to reach that space, or we may not be able to sustain our lifestyles in creating a cash pay practice. So I just want to offer up some suggestions and tools that you might be able to implement into your private practice in order to be successful at this. And what makes me, sort of the expert, quote unquote, around this. Well, currently and for the past year and a half, I've been operating a cash pay practice, and we have been fortunate to be quite successful at it. And as a Black woman, you don't come across those cash pay practices too often, but they are out there, and I think there are a couple things that they are doing to be successful, and I want to talk about those elements. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, you like, and you share this content with somebody that you think might find this content useful. So the first thing that I think can be super helpful in building your cash pay practice is providing the option or educating your potential clients around what are the unique services that you provide. I think your unique selling point is what's going to attract that ideal audience that doesn't mind paying out of pocket and doesn't mind paying whatever your specific rate is. And so how do you do that, right? You do that by advertisement, and you do that by utilizing or having a really great solid marketing plan. And so marketing plans are really important because not only does it help capture your ideal audience, but you understand what they're going through. You understand how much money they are making, therefore you can set your rate based off that. And how do you know this? You have a client avatar. You've done your research. Well, now I'm going to encourage you to do your research, so you know some of the pain points of these clients, but you also know where they are at in terms of like their finances. What can they afford per session? And so that is how you sort of extrapolate that data or that information to inform how much you will charge. So that rate that you set is going to be determined by that data or that research that you have done to or for your ideal audience. And to pick up off of the marketing and advertising, utilizing platforms like Google Ads or Facebook ads are really game changers for practices that want to not only just expand beyond their tight-knit circles or word of mouth, but really want to get out there and their name out there and their specializations out there. If you don't have a budget aside for marketing already, or in terms of budgeting for advertisement, I highly recommend that you, as a Black therapist, a Black clinician, that you begin to utilize those platforms. And if you don't feel like you're an expert in it, because you don't have to be an expert in it, you're an expert in mental health, you hire out or you delegate out and you invest in people that can help you better get to those audience or get to that population. The next option is to really highlight and let your audience know that you can, or they can use options such as FSA, flexible spending account, or HSA, health savings account, to cover therapy. This is a great way to incentivize them to use these pre-tax dollars that they have already put aside and allocated for any mental health medical needs. So encouraging them, and most of them don't even know that this is a tool that they could use. So really providing that education and reminding them. And how you do that is through your audience. That's how you connect with your audience one-to-one, your social media platforms. Just constantly interjecting that point. Well, hey, you could use your FSA, HSA, and these are already dollars that you've put aside for something like this. So educating them around that and informing them that this is an option, and it's a great way for you to then begin your private pay practice, or at least add on to your private pay practice. So this is it. It's a great way to. It's a bonus for both the client and it's a bonus for you, because you get your cash pay and the client has already put these funds aside. And when you frame it in that way, again, it's a win-win for both sides. So the third point I want to talk about is also educating people around what their options are if they do decide to use cash pay. or, you know, as I like to say, kind of framing it out in a sort of pros and cons sort of way. And so a lot of that happens to fall on how you, again, market yourself, how you're conversing with your audience or your ideal audience. So when you're having conversations via email or you're posting on social media, you're helping clients understand the pros and cons of using insurance. And so they're therefore able to make informed decisions around whether they want to continue using insurance versus going private pay. And how you can frame that is letting people know, you know, one of the posts that I did was, you know, letting people know sort of, again, the pros and cons of using insurance versus not. So I educated and let people know in my audience that, you know, here are some of the pros about using insurance. Obviously, in some ways it can be convenient, not always, because we know that firsthand, but also there are things like having to have a clinical diagnosis that comes associated with using insurance. A lot of our clients don't know that. A lot of people who are not in the field don't realize that, and so that can hold potential implications for the individual later on. Not necessarily always the case, but that is a high point or a point of contention for some people, and so that's worth a conversation. And so a lot of it happens because people don't have the knowledge, and so as therapists we can step in and fill those gaps and have those conversations, and this can help encourage people to kind of go one way versus the other. And especially with a cash pay, a lot of people don't realize that we can provide super bills, right? And what is a super bill? Super bill is basically a statement saying that I saw this client for XYD date, for this CPT code, and this diagnosis, and so they are able to bring that back to their insurance and seek reimbursement. As a matter of fact, that's probably, I'd say, 80% of the clients that Aweh supports, you know, services. In many ways we're providing super bills so that they are able to seek reimbursement from their insurance company. And if the clients don't know, they don't know. So it's our responsibility to educate people around that option that they have available to them. Of course it's going to depend on their coverage. Of course it's going to depend on, you know, the PPO versus the HMO, and so we familiarize ourselves with that knowledge, and then we then provide that information and knowledge for our clients so that they again can make an informed decision about using or seeing the benefits or the pros versus the con in using a cash pay method. So that's one way. So I think this all boils down to education, education, education. We as therapists, the onus is on us to educate, 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 educate. And so my last suggestion would be to utilize platforms that are popping up here and there, which provide therapists the opportunity to be 100% cash pay. And so platforms like Modern Health or Lear Health are amazing. They're amazing because you literally post your license once you get into the organization, and they panel you. You get into the license. You get onto the platform, they pair you with clients based off the client's needs, based off what the client is looking for. And so you see your client for, you know, your 55 minute session, and Modern Health just pays you just like that, or Lyra just pays you just like that. Whatever your rate is, your agreed upon rate. And so the beauty in that is that you can automatically fill your practice with those clients, which again, you get paid right off the bat. So the range is, you know, when I started with Modern Health, I was anywhere between, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this, but for the purpose of education, the purpose of transparency, the purpose of Black people building wealth, I'll just be transparent. But I think I started at 120, and literally just sent an email this morning asking for a raise. As of today, I'm at 150 per session, and so I just asked for a raise given, you know, the inflation's at 6%, so you can only imagine what I asked for. But yes, that is a amazing way to fill your practice. So when you're on these platforms, again, it incentivizes you to see your clients, and you get paid right then and there. I have zero complaints about the platform. It's truly the perfect way to fill your practice. And some of the limitations include that there are some clients that only have limited sessions, so depending on their employer and what they negotiate with Modern Health, some may be anywhere from like 10 sessions. I've seen people with as many as 20 sessions. But again, you spread that out depending on what works for you and your client. But again, utilizing these platforms, or these third-party platforms that truly are here to both work with you as a clinician because they need your expertise, they need your skills to help this platform continue running, but also benefiting the client in that it's a great way to connect them with therapists without them having to do the necessary legwork. So this is an excellent way to fill up your practice. So those are some of my 5 top tips in terms of like filling your practice up and maintaining a cash pay practice in sort of the mental health space. So let me know what you think about the information that I provided below. Let me know if you have any questions or anything you think I can expound upon. I'm happy to do that. And once again, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with anyone you think may find this information valuable. Take care.